Good evening. My name is Zachary Junis, and this is my final presentation for EH242 mythology. This is my part 2 of the presentation, which involved part 1 involving my poem about Atlas and my friends and I debating about going out tonight. So the poem itself refers to the myth of Atlas. And Atlas is a Titan, a Greek god who came before the Olympians, who then were defeated when the Olympians, led by Zeus, defeated them and took over the throne. And so Atlas's punishment for fighting against the Olympians was he was made to forever hold up the earth by Zeus. And besides, one time where Heracles came along and took over this burden so that he can get the 12 golden apples and then tricked Atlas into holding the earth again, Atlas is forever holding the earth in Greek mythology, also where we get, the word Atlas. And so this myth, references a few things about ancient Greek culture. One of these is the hierarchy in society, how when there is a person in charge and they tell those under him, or her, but mostly him from what we've learned in this course. And in this case, it's Zeus telling Atlas, you are punished to do this. It also references the burden, being punished and in different ways. And in this case, the crime of Atlas fighting against the Olympians and Zeus, his punishment is forever holding up the earth. So it reinforces the fact that if someone in a hierarchy or winning a war or anything kind of commands the loser of what they are to do, and in this case, the punishment is holding up the earth, but it could also be references to how conquered territories would happen in Greece and how the cultures viewed winning and as solidifying a hierarchy of the society. It also references how, depending on the decisions you make, it has lasting consequences for that individual. So decide with the Titans in the war and not with the Olympians resulted in Atlas being forever punished. And this is, a crime of his own doing in the story. And this reflects a few different culture values of the Greek culture. And one of these is the burden of suffering that is part of life, and how because of this hierarchy, because of the requirements of your role in society, you have to endure this burden upon you, and how that is just part of life. And it makes sense. In ancient Greece, thousands of years ago, life wasn't going to be easy for the vast majority of people. Life was difficult. Life was hard. Putting food on the table every winter is, a crisis. Making sure your family doesn't die of disease, is important. So these type of things is reflected in the story of Atlas, of this forever burden of just existing and being punished and forever carrying this weight on your shoulders and never being able to lose it. It also carries with it in the story of how the divinity of the Greek gods carries weight, and how a higher god such as Zeus could punish another god. So a mere mortal meant nothing in comparison to these gods. So if you made Poseidon angry and you are a merchant, well, it's not gonna be good for your trading boat. It could easily get sunk. And this reinforces that cultural concept of divinity of the gods and how they should be worshipped, build temples, etc. So I personally chose this myth, mostly because I really do enjoy this myth. I think the story is awesome, and it wasn't necessarily one we read about a lot in class, was Atlas himself, but it was something that I found enjoyable, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about. And then, lastly, I chose to also do a poem, mostly because I haven't run poems since probably 6th grade, so I thought, well, this would be a fun little experiment. I think it turned out pretty well. Trying to get the rhythm down again was always probably the most difficult part, but I really did find it enjoyable to try to relate the burden of finals time with trying to convince my friends of, hey guys, we should spend our time together as it's only a few weeks left, and the balance as relating to the mythology of the burden of Atlas holding up the earth, and how it isn't the end of the world if we all hang out a little bit more. But I would like to say this is my last assignment of the semester, so thank you so much for this wonderful course. I found it very fascinating, and have a great summer. Have a great night.